What's going on, guys? It's Suk and I am back with a brand new video on Super Duper Tech. And in today's video I'll be bringing you my full and in-depth review of both the iPhone 8 and its counterpart, the iPhone 8 Plus. Also, if you guys are yet to subscribe, then go ahead and do so, as I will of course be uploading my full and in-depth review of the iPhone 10 when that smartphone gets released. So without any further ado, let's hit the titles. So the first thing I want to get into talking about is the overall design of the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. The design has remained very much the same as last year's iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, but the glass back now makes the device feel more premium, though if you drop the device, it's more likely to cost you more to replace than it would if you had an Android smartphone such as the LG V30 or even the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. I've also found that the glass scratches very easily and that the space grey colour shows these scratches a lot more, so if you do like using your iPhone without a case, then beware of these scratches that may occur. Also, last year's iPhone 7 came in a range of colours from jet black, black, silver, gold, rose gold and even a product red. The only colour that remains with the new iPhone 8 and 8 Plus is the silver colour, as both space grey and gold are slightly different when compared to its previous iterations. In terms of physical properties, on the front of the device we have either a 4.7 or 5.5 inch display with a resolution of 1334 by 750 or 1920 by 1080 on the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus respectively. Also, the iPhone 8 has a slightly higher contrast ratio than the iPhone 8 Plus at 1400:1 versus 1300:1, but the iPhone 8 has a slightly lower pixel density at 326 versus 401 found on the iPhone 8 Plus. But when you compare these to its Android competitors such as the Note 8 with its 6.3 inch Infinity display, which is both brighter and larger along with being HDR compliant, meaning it can display a lot more colours. And when you get hands-on time with both of these devices, you really do get a feel as to how Apple have neglected the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus and put their eggs into the iPhone 10 basket. And this is made even more apparent as the pricing of the iPhone 8 starts off at £800, whereas for £70 more you can pick up the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Now, while the front display area on these devices look pretty much as it did back in 2014, I do want to say that there's only been one improvement in terms of display over last year's iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. And this is the addition of True Tone, which uses a number of different sensors on the front of the device to measure ambient lighting such as color temperature and color intensity. It will then adapt the display so that what you see on screen looks a lot more natural and easier on your eyes, though I would recommend turning this feature off when viewing images and videos, as it can of course distort their colors. Now, while I like features like True Tone, I do feel slightly underwhelmed as this is the only new addition to the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus over last year's iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. Their contrast ratios, brightness levels and resolution are exactly the same, and I would have really enjoyed it if Apple had also brought over ProMotion from the iPad Pro. So now, taking a closer look at the brightness levels on the iPhone 8 Plus, you guys can see that I got a readout of around 342 lux, and doing this test with the 4.7 inch iPhone 8, I got a score closer to 300 lux. These new iPhones do perform as they did with the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus when using them in direct sunlight, which isn't really too bad, but when you compare it to the brightness levels and intensity that you can get on other smartphones, and as you guys can see when testing the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 using it of course at full brightness, I got a score almost double that of the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Also, unlike what we'll be getting with the iPhone 10, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus retain their capacitive home button. And on the right side of the device you will find the power and lock button along with the nano SIM card tray. And on the back of the iPhone 8 Plus you'll find the dual lens camera system, which has one wide angle and one telephoto camera, which offers 2x optical zoom, whereas the iPhone 8 only retains the wide-angle camera. There is also a brighter LED flash module which has 4 separate LEDs. Also on the left side of both of these devices you'll find the silence switch along with the volume up and down buttons. On the bottom of the device you'll find a speaker and microphone along with the lightning charge and sync port, and there's nothing on the top of these devices. It's also worth mentioning that both of these smartphones retain their IP67 water and dust rating from the previous models, meaning they can survive being submerged under 1 meter of water for 30 minutes. But once again, the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 has it trumped with its IP68 water and dust resistance rating. Both the iPhone 8 and the 8 Plus use Apple's latest system on a chip, the 6-core A11 Bionic, which makes these two smartphones along with the up-and-coming iPhone 10 some of the most powerful ever made. Though the iPhone 8 has 2GB of RAM, whereas the iPhone 8 Plus has 3. Now I've uploaded a few videos where I benchmark these two smartphones along with putting them head to head in a speed test, where you guys will see that 2GB of RAM is simply not enough for any smartphone in 2017. Now you can check these videos out by clicking the links in the description section or clicking on the cards in the top right corner. And once you check out those videos you guys will understand what I mean when I say that I would rather have the iPhone 8 Plus over the iPhone 8. But either way, the iPhone 8 still performs very well and is similarly matched when you compare it to other Android flagships. Now as I mentioned earlier, on the iPhone 8 Plus there is a dual lens camera system which uses two 12 megapixel cameras, one wide angle which has an aperture of 1.8 and the other which is a telephoto, providing that 2x optical zoom which has an aperture of 2.8. Also, the camera on the iPhone 8 is the exact same as that found on the iPhone 8's wide angle camera, and both still images and video footage taken on either of these smartphones has always turned out very well indeed. And images taken with the secondary telephoto camera still turn out very well even in low light conditions. Along with 2x optical zoom, this secondary camera brings depth of field portrait shots to the iPhone. There is also a new feature on the iPhone 8 Plus dubbed portrait lighting, which essentially allows you to use artificial intelligence along with neural networks to determine the lighting in the shot and then manipulate that lighting. So if for example you'd like to slightly contour your face, just by using portrait lighting you could do so. Now I really enjoy this new feature on the iPhone 8 Plus, but it is worth mentioning that this is in beta. This of course means that it won't be working 100% as advertised. As you guys can see from these images, the hair on the edge looks slightly weird when compared to the background. Also, with both of these smartphones you're able to record 4K video footage at both 24, 30 and 60 frames per second, and that really makes these iPhones a little bit more versatile when compared to last year's iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. I have also uploaded two separate videos in which I compared the camera on the iPhone 8 Plus to the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 along with my full and in-depth camera review of the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Now once again, if you guys are interested in seeing those videos, then you can click the card in the top right corner, or once again links can be found down below in the description. Now whilst I praise Apple for having one of the best smartphone cameras on the market, I really do hope that in iOS 12 that they overhaul the entire camera app and at least give us a new Pro mode, something that we've seen in Android smartphones for quite a while. Another feature which we've seen from other Android smartphones, which is making its debut here on the iPhone 8, 8 Plus and 10, is the ability to fast charge your iPhone. But the one thing which annoys me about this is the way that Apple have gone about it, as you have to spend an additional £25 to get a USB-C to Lightning cable. And that's not where it stops, as you'll then have to purchase an additional 29-watt USB-C power adapter, which brings the cost all the way up to £75. Now using this method, in 30 minutes I was able to charge the battery all the way up to 50%. I have also heard that using the iPad's 12-watt USB power adapter that you can use the fast charging technique, but this time it will charge your iPhone up to 40% in 30 minutes. But once again, just to use this charging technique, Apple are charging a premium of £19, whereas they should just include it in the box. Also, another feature which is making its debut on the iPhones, which we've seen on other Android smartphones, is wireless charging. Now admittedly, it is convenient to use this feature at night when you don't want to fumble around with wires. But just like with those Android flagships that I've tested in the past, wireless charging was not a feature that I used a lot of the time, as it's a lot more convenient for myself to just pop my phone in its dock where I know that it will charge. As with those Android smartphones, with the iPhone, you still have to ensure that you line the smartphone up so that it charges correctly. If there is one area where Apple continues to impress me, is their speakers, as they've gotten slightly louder whilst also sounding very slightly more crisp with slightly more low end. Here is a sample from the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus against the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. So let me summarize these smartphones. They've got a dated but evolved design which brings features such as wireless charging, which I've found to be useful but only in certain circumstances, and until fast wireless charging becomes available in an up and coming update, this is something that I find will mainly be used if you've forgotten your lightning cable. This design also holds the same water resistance rating which is found on the previous generation iPhones, the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. It's really shocking that for displays which have the same screen size as well as dated resolutions which we've seen on iPhones going back to 2014 and huge bezels in terms of smartphones overall for 2017. Also, when you compare the brightness levels of the displays on these iPhones, you can really see how it lags behind the competition. And this really is quite insane in a day that you can purchase the Samsung Galaxy S8 for less than £550, whereas the iPhone 8 starts off at $700, and that's a price difference which I would give up True Tone for an overall better display. But that's not to say that the displays on the new iPhones are bad, as they are still pretty good, but when your eyes wander to see what the competition are doing, it's hard not to wonder where that extra money could go. Fast charging once again is a lovely and well needed addition to the iPhone, but it's most definitely a dumb move on Apple's part not to include the correct power adapter or cable to allow this to work as advertised. The cameras on these new iPhones are very nice and they do allow you to take some really good images, though I would like to see the iOS camera application updated, and I would really like to see a professional mode make its way over to the iOS stock camera application to allow for fine control over things such as ISO, shutter speed, focus and much more. But either way, the images remain vibrant but true to life, and images taken in low light environments still turn out more than usable. The inclusion of being able to record 4K video footage at 24, 30 and 60 frames per second is great. And if you guys would like to hear more on my overall thoughts and opinions on the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus cameras, along with a comparison to the camera found on the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, then once again you can find links down below in the description, or alternatively you can click on the card in the top right corner. The selfie camera though needs a massive update, as I would like to see a slightly larger field of view, as you will struggle to take selfies with any more than 3 people. The power of these smartphones is immense and crushes the competition, though you won't feel this in terms of overall system use. The main area where you'll notice this power increase is when it comes to loading up applications. Augmented reality is also something which Apple have been pushing very hard, and using these smartphones you will have a great and smooth experience. This is as the A11 Bionic has Apple's first in-house designed 3-core GPU, which is approximately 30% faster than the GPU found on the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. Now these are just my thoughts and opinions, but I believe that these smartphones are this powerful because Apple will finally bring over split view multitasking in iOS 12, which is something which we've seen on Android smartphones for many years. They may also bring out something very similar to Samsung DeX to the iPhone, which will run a modified version of iOS 12, as I highly doubt that Apple will make a hybrid OS or allow it to run Mac OS. Battery life on these smartphones have been great, and I'm able to finish a day with the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus with around 35 and 50% battery remaining on these devices. I personally think that if you have any iPhone from the iPhone 6s and below, the upgrade to the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus will still be a huge jump. Though if you're coming from an iPhone 6, 6s, 6 Plus or 6s Plus, then you will be disappointed as the design remains fairly similar. And if you have an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus, then don't bother upgrading unless you find a really good deal so that you can trade up, or if you've lost, damaged, or had your phone stolen. But personally, if it was me, then I would hold out a little longer for the iPhone 10, as I feel like that's going to be incredible in your hands, and you look at it and you'll actually know where you spent your £1,000 as opposed to spending £800-900 on a smartphone that looks very similar to the one that you brought 4 years ago. So then guys, that has been it for today's video. I do hope you did enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, then be sure to hit that like button, and if you are new around here, then why not subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when I upload and release my videos. And if you've got any questions with what you've seen or heard in today's video, then be sure to leave them down below in the comment section, or alternatively, you can go ahead and follow me on my social media. Once again, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.